Heroes and villains always have the same backstory, pain. The difference is what they choose to do about it. Villain says, the world hurt me, I'll hurt it back. The hero says, the world hurt me, I'm not going to let it hurt anybody else. Heroes use pain, villains are used by it.
Welcome to the Dude Catholic Podcast. I'm your co-host Adrian here with the man who can kill two stones with one bird.
I'm Ramon.
Yeah, you are. And if you can find the episode where I said this originally, that Ramon fact, I'll mail you a book or something.
Or something.
Or something, indeed. Whatever you choose, you let us know on Instagram because we don't check any other social media site. Anyway, today we talk about heroes and villains with an episode titled
Part 1
of Heroes and Villains.
No, I don't know. Whatever you want to.
We'll see how it turns out. We don't script this, guys. Our scripture today comes from
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your descendants may live.
Delicious.
Delicious indeed. So let's get this podcast on the road. So I saw this clip online that I was like, that's it. That's it. You know, it's the one you heard at the beginning of this episode. I'm like, that's the episode right there. It is that both heroes and villains have the same background story. There's always suffering, maybe even death, trauma, abuse, whatever. You know, something evil happens. But it's how we choose to respond that makes us one or the other. And a lot of the times we have so much control over other people's stories depending on our approach to someone's weirdness or someone's lack of direction. You know, and that's something that I stole from Ramon earlier, so I just took that talking point away from him. But that's because I feel like you have a lot more experience dealing with the side that chooses not life. You know, and so tag your writ.
Oh, dang, dude. Well, we were discussing. First and foremost, we're parents. And yeah. I think everything starts in the home because the so-called villains, the villains, the people that choose evil over good, it all started at home, whether they had a horrible example at home or no example at all. My main goal as a father is to make sure that my kids grow up with a good example, to build that foundation that's gonna change the world. So I've been more intentional about the way that I speak to my kid, because I think I'm a good dad, but I could be better. I could be more patient. I can show a little bit more affection. Especially with my son. He's turning 10 pretty soon, and he's a good kid, man. He helps out a lot, but he's not perfect, so that's when I lose my marbles, and I'm not as patient and loving. But lately, I've been making more of an effort to be a good example, to teach him how to plant those seeds of being helpful. And sorry, it's getting a little heavy, but it's going somewhere.
A little bit.
It's going somewhere. Yeah, so I tend to be more patient when he aggravates me about something, and yeah, I just slow down, and I understand that right then and there when he aggravates me is not the time to just explode on him, but rather like, hey, dude, let's slow things down, be patient with yourself, and let's go from the top. Look, this is why I'm telling you to do these things. I don't want you to grow up weak, physically or emotionally. That's why I ask you to do these things. Laying a really good foundation for him, because that's my job as a dad. That's my job as a partner at work. That's my job as a husband. My job as your brother, Adrian.
Yeah.
And then my nephew, who's my godson, who just asked me to be his confirmation sponsor.
Yeah.
Or what we call in the Hispanic community, his padrino, his godfather.
Nino.
And it's a huge responsibility. And my heart needs to change and keep growing, keep moving forward. And all that to say this, heroes are not just born heroes, but it's a series of events that are going to help them choose, that are going to make them choose where they're going to go. Either be the light of the world or be that nasty shadow that oppresses people.
Yeah, no, and it's really I mean, when you're speaking and saying all these things, I'm like, man, like you're a good dad. Why are you so hard on yourself? But I mean, we have to be. You know, we kind of have to be a little bit like that, or maybe overanalyze things, and then come down to just being honest with ourselves about how we treat our kids. You know, and we're not ones to like beat our kids or anything like that, but we realize that our tone can be harsh sometimes.
Even more harsh than hitting them.
Yeah.
Because the physical pain will go away after a minute, but the words that you choose, you know, make sure that that's building materials to build strong character, not to demoralize them. Because I'm a ruffian, man, and like rough words kind of inspire me to like get my head out of the gutter or out of the hole or where the sun don't shine or however you want to put it. But not a 9-year-old.
No.
And that's where we need to be careful.
Yeah, and I think since that's one of the areas where we need to grow, that's one of the things where we focus a lot. But you know, sometimes we also need to encourage each other and be like, dude, you're a good dad. Like, you're doing great. You're killing it. And let's grow together in that, because I'm also not the best at that. But one of the things that I didn't get to, because I'm like ADD child over here getting distracted at every corner, is that one of the things that I also do, one of the things that I recommend anyone do with their kid is like recognize their small victories, you know, because a lot of the times one of the things that I have to do is get after my son with the whole like, hey, help out, you know, like let it come out of you to help out. And I was packing something up because I had to take him to go sell popcorn for his scouts and whatnot, and he picked up a box and put it in the car without me asking him. And then later on, when we were on our way over there, I recognized that. You know, like give him those little wins. Recognize those little wins. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna throw him a parade or anything because that's what he's supposed to do. But at the same time, like, think about when you were a kid and how good it felt when that got recognized. You know, and it's all these little things that can build up someone's character to become that hero. Because even though our kids are growing up with a mom and a dad in the home, that doesn't mean that they're going to be free from suffering. There's always going to be suffering. That's something that we can guarantee, is that there's always going to be suffering. And on a maybe unrelated point, I'm willing to say it is related, totally related, is that I've been hearing, and I've heard this for years, you know, the whole problem of evil thing, you know, where people don't believe in God because of the suffering in the world. And then someone just took that and ran with it and said, okay, let's just say God doesn't exist. Is there still evil in the world? Yes. Then whose fault is it? You know, now who stops existing because there's evil? Right? We're still here, and it's still our fault. And you know what? If Adam and Eve didn't do it, someone else in the 5, 10, I don't know how many thousands of years down the line, like it would have happened. It would have happened again. If not, I would have done it. Someone would have done it. Someone would have disobeyed the Lord, and we would be in the same show that we're in right now. We still would have needed Jesus, and we still need him today. And we're looking at all this suffering and pain. But if we all did our little part, it would be a little bit more bearable. And who knows how many times you've done this, where you uplift someone and you change the course of their history. As a teacher, going back to this thing that I started talking about earlier but didn't finish, I get humans at an earlier stage in life than you do in your work. And it's crazy how I can think, because I get used to doing what I do every day, encouraging the kids, treating them with respect, like all this stuff, that I don't even realize that it's making such a big difference. Like I have kids like tell me I love you, and I don't know how to respond to that. I'm like not that, I'm emotionally constipated, I tell them, but like I feel that, and I like fist bump them or whatever, and a kid that just graduated, freaking big kid, like told me that I'm like a father figure to him, and I'm like, dude, like I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And then that comes up, and then every once in a while, like my own son throws a bone at me, and gives me a hug out of nowhere, because like I've been encouraging him. I just give the same speeches over and over, like those speeches that they're gonna probably be able to finish before I start them. But all those add up. All those make a difference. All those turn you into their hero sometimes, and you don't even realize it.
Nah, dude, and it's not that hard to do, because, especially if you love your kids, and it's so much easier to do with your kids, because that's your family. But no, I'm gonna go back to the kids. That's what I was gonna say right now. It's a story for later, but yeah, like the kids, man, it all starts in the home. It's not that difficult to, like you said, I'm gonna piggyback of what you said right now, to throw them a bone here and there. When they do something good, like, hey, that was so good, that was really, really good, because ABC, X, Y, and Z. And it may seem like nothing, but you're making deposits into that little, not just feel good bank account, but for lack of a better expression, that little feel good bank account. Little small deposits that are going to uplift them. Those are the seeds that you're planting in their heart, where it's like, hey, I belong here. Growing up, mom was by herself, even before my mom and dad broke up. And my mom was not one to just give us hugs and tell us how precious we were and whatever. But at the end of the day, there was always that blessing, and that little kiss on the cheek, that good night, I love you. Sometimes not even an I love you, it's just, I have a good night. And that loving kiss on the cheek. And that's what made me want to just listen to my mom, because she was really tough. From what I remember, she was really tough. But I knew it was good for me. Because she not forced me necessarily, but she influenced me to want to do the right thing all the time. Now, I was a kid, a human, I made my share of mistakes, and she would correct it. But I can honestly remember her hitting me maybe 4 or 5 times. And I remember I deserved it every time. And yeah. I did. I was just acting like a freaking goon and not listening to her, and like, oh, well, there's consequences. Cool. I don't want to make that same mistake again, and I don't want to disappoint her. And that's what I'm striving for. My mom was very flawed, and she still is, but she taught me that. She instilled that. Like, that's part of who I am now. And I want to do the same thing for my kids, so that they can, again, they can be that light of the world. We were talking about the movie The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, and man, that movie just bummed me out. Because was he a weirdo? Yeah, because he had that, whatever it is, mental condition. But just a little bit of kindness would have turned that story around. And not just one, little compliment, not just on one day, but just a constant reminder that, yeah, it might be a little weird that he laughs at everything, but that's all right, because everybody's different, and it's all right, so long as we're following a good path. I've been doing some ride-alongs for my job. Again, LA County Sheriff's always never mind, let's go back. My department requires us to work the county jails first before we go out to patrol. And yeah, so I've been doing some ride-alongs, and I've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff on the streets.
To put it lightly.
Yeah. And let me take a few steps back here. In the jail where I work at, my area deals with some with people that have committed horrendous acts, and murder being one of the nicest ones. And the other day, actually sometime last week, this guy that I was talking to, he's always respectful with me. But we had a really interesting, I had an interesting interaction with him. I forgot what I said to him, and then I noticed he had a little picture of Saint Michael the Archangel, and I went, "Huh? Can you elaborate on that?" He's like, "Oh, what you mean?" He's like, "Saint Michael." I was like, "Hey, dude, that's like the ultimate warrior right there." And we started talking about how, warrior culture and all that. And like, he started, again, he was always respectful with me, but he let his guard down. He was like, "Oh yeah, this and that, da, 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 da." And he kind of challenged me in a respectful way. Cause he's like, "Oh yeah, well, what do you know about Saint Michael?" And then I recited the prayer, and then he was stunned. And then, he's like, "Oh wow." He's like, "You sounded just like my dad." And I took that with a grain of salt, because maybe he's trying to finesse me, trying to be. But his whole demeanor changed. That's why I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Because every time he sees me now, it's with childlike vulnerability.
The English
is hard. He gets really close to like the bars on his cell. And he's like, "Hey, what's up, sir?" When before it was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Or "What's up, Dep?" Short for deputy. He's like, "What's up, deputy?" No, like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Dep?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up, sir?" Like, he reminds me of like when my kid's like, "Hey, what's up, pops?" Like that type of demeanor. And he's always like smiling when he sees me, and it seems genuine, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. But it's just a little bit of kindness that it's not going to change the way he lives, but it's like, hey, you like something good, you need to start living it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of what I told him too after that little interaction. You need to start living it, otherwise you're just a liar. And there's that integrity gap that so of us live with in our life. We say that we'll never cheat on our wife, but then we start looking at women and then just staring, and then little by little we start sliding into a very, I dare say, dark territory where I would never do that because I haven't done that yet. And given the opportunity, I will, because I can get away with it. And again, just every time he sees me now, it's like a little kid. Like, "Hey, what's up, sir?" I don't think I changed his life. I think he's going to do whatever he's going to do. But it's our mission as men to at least plant the seeds in people's hearts and people's minds, and be that light of the world. Because we have too much nastiness, but we also have a lot of beautiful things in this life, and we need to bring that up to the surface to make sure that everybody knows.
That's right. I was thinking as you were wrapping that thought up, that there's so many more heroes than we realize out there, like walking among us. You know, and throughout those years that I was kind of like, we were having a conversation about this earlier, how I can strike up a conversation with almost any dad and uplift their spirit, because I had plenty of practice during my Uber driver years. I would love freaking riding around with dads, because even though we only had like 15 minutes like tops in the car, like 30 minutes on a long ride, you know, we would go in depth about how awesome it is to be a dad. And they would leave that ride with an uplifted soul, you know, and it was a cool thing to see that. And it's one of the reasons why I miss going camping with my son and the other dads, because the kids do whatever, you know, like they're trained, like they can go camping without us, but we're not going to send a bunch of minors to the woods, you know, to go fend for themselves. Although it'd be kind of a cool story, but no. But the dads are there, you know, kind of camping a little ways where we can see them, where we can hear them. We're there, and we're letting them do their thing. The older scouts leading the younger scouts, and meanwhile the dads are just kind of keeping an eye out. But we're talking, you know, and I know the guys kind of miss me going over there, because like I see them at the meetings every once in a while, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, and it's because of that camaraderie and that whole remembering, that reminder of who they are, you know, and what they're doing and how good it is. You know, every time I go camping, like I bond with those dads, and like it happens so quick. We start talking about the difficulties and the triumphs. So many of us have like kids with like whatever disability, if you may, with just, I've told my kid, like autism is just like, we just haven't figured out how to teach you. But the people that have changed the world, like inventors and whatnot, have all like, by and large, have been autistic. You know, Elon Musk, freaking Einstein, Tesla, like all these people, you know, like they've all had a hint of that, and people just don't know how to teach them. And so they create stuff. But anyway, I digress. Like, not so much, because all those stories of success have involved pain, have involved people not believing in them, all those stories belong to people who've been hurt. And it's not just one positive thing that changes their life. It's many positive things. You know, many people believing in them when someone didn't believe in them. It's so many people like uplifting them, giving them an opportunity, giving them tools, giving them a kind word. You know, the Joker, that's a story. Like, you can just see the whole thing going downhill and watching him crash and burn. Mm-hmm. The same thing can be said about the TV show with that chemistry teacher, Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just downward spiral, and I love the way it ended. It didn't end in redemption. Maybe you wanted it to. Maybe I wanted it to a little bit.
I wanted it to, yeah.
But it was just like, it's how it ends sometimes. Most of the time when people break bad and they just go downhill. You know, those who don't end up down there, you know, they become saints. And so that's what I'm hoping can happen to a lot of us. And that's what I'm hoping each and every single one of us listening to this podcast can help do for someone else. Be that kind word, be that good Uber driver, or that scout parent, you know, or whatever you are. In whatever capacity you can help someone build up their hero story, or change the course from breaking bad to breaking good. Because God, sometimes the only way you can get through to us is by breaking us, or letting our hearts be broken by the world. And the world will take that opportunity and will bust us open. But with God, if we open the door to God, suffering is already there. But if we unite it to the cross, it can redeem us and the rest of the world.
It heals us. I do Sunday Vigil Mass a lot, probably half the time. Mostly because I can't wait for Sunday. This past week, the homily was so good, and even if it's boring, because I've had it in like boring homilies, but the result is always the same when my heart is fully 100% into it. But this past week, in particular, after I took communion, I went back to my pew. I knelt, and right away, just like stuff that you see in the movies, right away, like my heart just felt full. And then I don't know if you guys ever have experienced this, but sometimes God talks to me, not like in a human voice, but I feel it in my heart. And he told me, welcome home. You are home. And you need to stay home. I don't know if I'm conveying this the right way, but like where my heart is where my heart is right now. That's where it needs to be, because there's going to be so much healing in this place. So much healing that's going to come from, from it's going to get me in my heart. And it's going to allow me to be that light of the world. First with my kids, with my wife, and then with everybody else. And you may not have somebody to tell you, to throw you a bone and give you an attaboy, but, you're listening to this and take this as that. You're doing great. And if you're not doing great, go to confession. Partake in the Eucharist. Because our Lord didn't die in vain. Unite that suffering to the cross. And allow yourself to be redeemed. Because this suffering should not go to waste. We need more heroes on our corner. And God loves you. I love you. We're praying for you. You're not alone, brother. We need more heroes in our corner.
So pray for us.
And we'll pray for you.
Ferrum
Ferro
Aquitur.